I sat with hundreds of broken people in their moments of crisis, and most people have no idea what is running their choices, their reactions, and their self-destruction. So join me in this video for a sunny walk and talk where I share 35 lessons I've learned over the years that I wish every client knew before sitting down for a session. Enjoy.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Most people think that therapy is just about talking about your problems, and it is for the most part. Except what I've found is that most people are addicted to their problems. Now with hypnotherapy, I learned something different. The problem is never really the problem. It's the story that's underneath of it. And it's the story that's been running on repeat in your subconscious mind that's actually running your life. After years of working as a hypnotherapist and coach, sitting with high achievers, artists, healers, and people in crisis, I kept seeing the same patterns underneath the surface. And it's the same traps, it's the same breakthroughs, and it's the same subconscious programs that are running the show. Now today I'm going to hand you 35 of the truest things that I know. Things that I have learned through hard-won observations of working at the subconscious level. And some of these will hit you in the face. And some of these will annoy you, like trying to sleep with a mosquito in the room. And good. It means they're doing their job. Now everything starts here. Before you can change a single behavior, you need to understand that your mind is a narrative machine, a meaning-making machine. And that most people are letting it run unaware of the script or running a script that's antiquated. And to be honest with you, your words build your world. The stories you tell yourself edit out anything that doesn't fit your narrative. And over time, those stories, well, they become your reality. This is not just a metaphor. This is literally how the brain filters experience. Because words are the building blocks of the mind. The language you use shapes your imagination. It filters what you observe in binary thinking, good, bad, right, wrong, always, never. Well, that cuts out massive chunks of what's actually real. Which is why in the world of coaching hypnotherapy, there's two types of language. There's architect language and conflict language. Now, architect language builds, and conflict language destroys. So the moment you can distill something of what someone is saying down to its core, you can mystically translate it from one to the other. And that's where change truly lives. Because your memory is your model for reality. Your past is the teacher, the present is your creation, and the future, well, that's your legacy. Because most people are so busy reliving the past that they rarely realize that they're the one writing the next chapter. Because what you think about, you bring about. And about 70% of what you think today are the same thoughts that you had yesterday. So you're not thinking so much as replaying. And until you interrupt that feedback loop, the loop runs you. Now here's what nobody tells you about deep personal transformation and change. It starts with a decision, and underneath of it, it's on a more profound level, it's subconscious reprogramming. And the subconscious doesn't respond to willpower the way you think it does. And that's because there's the subconscious law of reverse effect. The greater the conscious effort to force something, the less your subconscious responds. Now think of a rider trying to control an elephant by sheer will. It just doesn't work. So you have to work with the animal instead of against it. You have to train the rider to motivate the animal to work with the path that's in front of you. And this is because breakdown precedes breakthrough. And there's the part that nobody really talks about, is that most breakthroughs only last about 8 weeks, unless you maintain them. After that, people revert. And why, you may ask? Because what's normal, what's familiar, what's safe will always win over something that's better for you, or even the novelty of the experience, unless you build a new system and maintain it. Now, breath is the foundation of life and the doorway to the subconscious. The answers are already in you, and breath is how you get to access them. Because every major shift that I've witnessed in a session started with someone finally slowing down enough to breathe. And if you don't reach your goals, you fall back on your systems. Not your intentions, not your motivations, your habits. If you build the systems first, goals are just the direction, and your identity, that's what you're truly crafting. Through the subconscious mind, we attract people, places, and situations that resonate with the subconscious programming. Others are mirrors, and how you treat one thing in life is how you treat all things. And if you want to know what's running underneath the surface, just take a look at your relationships. And now we get into the deeper material. It's the stuff that people don't want to look at, because this is where identity lives, and the identity is the hardest thing to change. When it comes to working with trauma and PTSD, what I've found with my clients is that you understand that you are more than the story of what happened to you, because it's not the event itself, it's the belief about what happened during the event that determines how it shapes you. Because the event is finished and the interpretation is still active, and it's usually caught in that short circuit feedback loop, which is where people ruminate. And if you argue for your limitations, you shall have them. If you believe you can not have it all, you're not able to, you're choosing actively how much less of it all is available to you. So the belief sets the ceiling before you ever reach it. You know, for some people, the sky is the limit. For other people, the limit's the sky. Because if we pretend to be something, we become it, for better or for worse. And this is why victim mentality is so dangerous. Because if you act the part long enough, you stop seeing it as a role and you become it. Now, learned helplessness sustained over time leads to self-doubt, self-sabotage, and an entrenched victim mentality. But here's the truth that the pattern wants to hear, that the inner saboteur can be healed. Now, the key is to actually resolve to do it. Because self-hatred stems from the deep-seated belief of being unlovable, not from the events, but from the conclusions that are drawn about the events, and the conclusions can be rewritten. And this is because your strongest emotion dictates behavior. Your emotional urges will override intellectual reasoning every single time. You can know something intellectually and still not do it, because the nervous system hasn't caught up yet, and that's the real work. Because to know and not do actually reflects that you don't know. Because if you suppress one emotion, you suppress them all. You have a clenched jaw, held breath, tight fists, tight pelvic floor, keeps the body in that stress response. And the body keeps score, and it charges interest. And most people struggle because of addiction to these emotional states and the thoughts that maintain them. The drama isn't happening to them, it's happening for them. It's familiar, it's home. And there's a world of difference between responding and reacting. One comes from clarity, the other comes from the wound. And this is the part where things get hopeful, because everything I've shared so far, all of it is workable. If you can mention it, you can manage it. And I've seen people transform from places I would have never predicted. Because the point of life is that we learn from our experiences and our traumas. People need necessary changes to grow, and comfort is not the goal. Transformation is. And the amount of pain that someone has carried is directly proportional to their capacity to do good in this world. Your wound becomes your gift, but only if you do the work to close it. And I'll be honest with you, grief takes the time it takes. If you hold on to sadness too long, it becomes depression. And most depression walks hand in hand with creative drought. The creative block and the emotional block are the same block. And the only way out is in, every time. You can fight it, and people do for years. They do absurd things just to avoid coming to consciousness. But eventually the inner work is the only work that counts. And you have survived 100% of your worst days. I've sat with some extraordinary human beings, and the resilience of the human spirit is something I will never stop being amazed by. Because life is what you make of it or what you let it become. Your level of consciousness is equal to your level of responsibility for your thoughts, your emotions, your actions. Because who thinks your thoughts? Who feels your feelings? You do. And where do they live? They live in your body. And what I'm telling you is that no one's coming to save you. And that's actually the best news that there is. And it's easier to blame, shame, or guilt someone else than it is to do your own inner work. But blaming keeps you in this cage. So take ownership. It's the only key. And if you win the morning, you win the day. You can design your best possible outcomes. You can stack the deck in your favor rather than letting life happen to you by default. Because your mind is a garden, your heart is the soil, and your thoughts, your memories, your beliefs, well, those are all the seeds. And at some level, it becomes a choice. What do you choose? Do you choose to grow flowers, fruits, and trees? Or do you grow weeds? Now, action dispels overwhelm. The best way to predict the future is to design it. Because if you don't reach your goals, you fall back on your systems. So build the systems and then do the next right thing. And reality is often kinder to us than we are to ourselves. If it's mentionable, it's manageable. And because you talked about it, it's on your mind, it's workable. So say the thing out loud. Name the fear to tame the fear. And then it shrinks immediately. And in the end, here's what I wish everyone knew before they came and sat with me for a session, is that we heal through our relationships. They're mirrors of our internal truths. Complaining trains the brain towards a negativity bias and keeps people in a pessimistic state of mind. And once someone moves out of survival mode, an entirely different set of possibilities opens up. And people find unexpected superpowers from extraordinary circumstances. And it's never too late to wake up. It's just harder after 50. So start now. And there you have it, 35 truths. Every single one came from sitting with someone in their hardest moments of life and watching what was real. Not what they thought was real or the story that was said, what was actually true underneath of it all. Now, the one that hit you hardest, that's your homework, or what I call heart work. So don't intellectualize it. Don't share it in the comments just to prove you watched. Sit with it. Journal with it. Act on it. And if this cracks something open for you, share it with the person who needs it. Subscribe if you want more, and then drop something in the comments. Which truth landed the hardest? Why? And I actually read them. Now here's a bonus lesson, lesson 36. The key to all of this is knowing when to stop consuming and start creating. And if you're ready for that, my Substack is the next step. Weekly letters for healers and artists who are done waiting. The link is in the description. If you've ever wondered if you're a shadow artist, I'll see you in the next one. Now go for a walk for 30 minutes in nature and keep doing the work.